Alright, I'm back again today with another video. Now this is going to be completely antithetical to the last video I did. That last video was popular films that I don't love. These are going to be unpopular films that I do love. So let's go ahead and not waste time and get into it. The first one, Kick-Ass 2. I've always really enjoyed Kick-Ass 2. It's not as good as the first one, but I think this does serve as a good sequel to the first one, which I really love the first Kick-Ass film. And this one, I like the movie quite a bit. I love the movie. It's not as good as the first. No, it's not directed as well. The action scenes are not directed as well. They throw CGI blood in there every now and then when it should be practical. But Jim Carrey is a nice addition for this movie, even though he wasn't really in it for that long. But, I don't know what the hell's going on here. But it was really a good movie. This really is a good movie. I just don't get why people don't like Kick-Ass 2. It's a good movie. Alright. We got a comedy here that I've seen nothing but bad things about, that I pissed myself laughing with this film. Why him? And it's got two of my favorite actors of all time, Bryan Cranston and James Franco. As an actor, I like James Franco, but if he's guilty of the stuff that he's guilty of, I don't know all that much about it, then I don't like him as a person. But as an actor, I love Bryan Cranston and James Franco. And I think that every joke in this film works for me. This is a movie I think I've seen at least 7 or 8 times since it came out, and I enjoy it more and more every time. It's just a really funny movie. I love all the Kiss, like the band Kiss humor, the sex humor. I love that this guy, Bryan Cranston and this woman here Bryan Cranston and his wife, they meet their daughter's boyfriend, and they're very, very formal people, but James Franco comes in, you fucking cunts and bitches and ball lickers, fuck yeah, fuck you, man, it was just really funny, because I can imagine a guy like that actually existing and being like that towards a family like that. So yeah, I just really like this movie. Alright, next. We got a sequel that's not as good as the first one. The Karate Kid 2. Really a damn good sequel. And I don't know why people don't like this movie. This is really a really good sequel. No, it's not as good as the first one. The first one's a classic. But this really serves as a good sequel, and I'm really glad that it exists. And hell, I even kind of like the Karate Kid 3. But this one is the best sequel. It's better than the fourth one, and it's better than the remake. And it is better than the third. I really don't get why people don't like the Karate Kid 2. It's one that I've always enjoyed. I actually used to enjoy it more than the first one, but now as an adult, I enjoy the first one more. But this is still a really good sequel. So if you haven't seen the Karate Kid Part 2, make sure you watch it. Alright, so we've got Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters with Jeremy Renner in it. I've always loved this movie, man. This movie's a lot of fun. I saw it in the theaters, really enjoyed it. It's a dumb popcorn flick. It's not one that you should take too seriously. It's just a really, really entertaining. And I actually found the witch in the gingerbread house at the beginning pretty intimidating. Pretty scary shit. But then they kill her. And they become these witch hunters, and it's just really fun. The movie's got a lot of good action, and it's got some good violence in it. It's a dumb popcorn movie. Don't think too hard about it when watching this thing. Yeah, like I said, I saw this thing in theaters. I saw it at a matinee one time back when it was out in theaters, and I fucking loved it, man. This is just one that I've always enjoyed. Like, this is what Van Helsing, the Hugh Jackman movie, should have been. This movie was fucking amazing, and I loved it. Right, one that, there are people that like this movie, but I noticed there's a big chunk of people that really despise this movie. I don't get why. Blood Diamond. Now, maybe this is one that's starting to gain more appreciation, but when I first saw this movie, a lot of people said this movie sucked, and that Leonardo DiCaprio's performance sucked. That he sucked playing a Australian or New Zealand, a guy from New Zealand, when that's not what he was portraying. He was portraying somebody from South Africa. Okay, people don't understand that. Or somebody tried to say he was trying to play a British guy. He's playing a guy from South Africa. That's what he's supposed to sound like. And what about Desmond Hansu's should have been an Oscar-winning performance? And even Jennifer Connelly was really good in the movie too. It's not her best role, but she's really good in the movie. I think Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Connelly work as a romance in this film. I really believe that they do. And this movie's got a lot of great action. It's got a great storyline. I don't get why people don't like this movie. I just really don't. It's a damn good movie. I don't know. It's really good. Alright, we got a guilty pleasure here. Jaws 3. You know, Jaws 1's a classic. Jaws 2 is not really all that much to write home about. And this one most certainly is not anything to write home about. But this movie offers me something that the other Jaws sequels don't. Cheesiness. Should this be a part of the true Jaws franchise? No, not necessarily. It is more of a parody of Jaws than anything, and it really shouldn't be a part of the Jaws franchise. But it is a fun movie, and there is a lot of stupid stuff in this movie that I actually find relatively funny and really enjoyable. And the scene with the tunnel in the aquarium actually scared me as a kid. It really did. Because I was a kid that liked to go to aquariums quite a bit, and I live in a state where we have two really big aquariums, and they both have these little underwater tunnels, and that always got to me as a kid when I first saw this. I know all the times I had been to aquariums beforehand, that wasn't a problem. After I saw this, I became just petrified of it. But then I should have known better that they don't keep great white sharks in captivity in aquariums. So, yeah. But yeah, Jaws 3, I like Jaws 3 as a shitty, cheesy movie, but it's not a good Jaws film, honestly, but it is one I get a little bit of enjoyment out of. Okay. Alright, we've got Lockout, starring Guy Pearce and Maggie Grace. Is this movie very, very, very derivative of Taken? Yes, it's essentially just Taken in space. But this movie has a lot of cool action scenes, and especially this opening scene on the bike, when he gets on that futuristic bike and they're chasing him on the highway and all that. It was really cool. And I don't know, I think this movie deserves a lot more appreciation than it gets. And get the unrated cut if you can. Don't get the theatrical cut. The theatrical cut is lame. Get the unrated cut. But yeah, I've always really enjoyed Lockout, but that's just me. Alright, like I said, it's not one of my favorite movies of all time, but it is one that I enjoy a lot more than the others in its franchise, minus the original, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Like I said, this is the only other Texas Chainsaw film that I kind of like. Kind of like H2O to Halloween. But this is kind of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre's H2O, because this movie actually... I don't like the remake. Okay, I really don't like the remake. The remake... A lot of people bitch about this movie because it answers questions that nobody was asking and whatnot. Well, let me put it to you this way. The remake had me asking a lot of questions. So maybe those people weren't asking those questions, but I was. So I genuinely don't like the remake because it leaves me asking too many questions. Some of the acting's a little shit. The pacing of it is really bad. Leatherface isn't that scary in it. This movie corrects a lot of that. It answers the questions that I was asking. The characters in this film feel like characters were the others. There's no arc. There's no arc for Jessica Biel's character in that film. And all the characters in that movie were annoying. The ones in this film were really likable. And I hated seeing the bigger brother die. And I hated seeing the younger brother die. And I hated seeing the younger brother's girlfriend die. I hated seeing all the characters die in this film. And Leatherface is he's more brutal in this than he is in the remake. He feels like Leatherface more in this film than he did in the last one. Yes, he's a little bit more amped up in this movie. And I don't enjoy gore a whole lot. And the original didn't really have any gore. But this movie still felt like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and there was no humor. It took itself really seriously, like the first film. I mean, the first film had some kind of funny moments, but this movie right here, man, it's, like I said, not great, but it is better than a lot of the other all the other Texas Chainsaw films past the first one, really. So yeah, I've always kind of liked this movie. It's okay. All right, here we go. I get the hate for these two movies. I really get it. But I saw them both in theaters as a kid, and I've never really even been a fan of the comic books that these movies are based on. I've never been a fan of the comic book iterations of these characters, but the movies, as standalone movies, I've always enjoyed. Those are the two Fantastic Four films. I've always liked these movies. I've never been a fan of the Fantastic Four comic books. I have read a lot of the Fantastic Four comic books, and I can't, I'm not that big into the Fantastic Four from the comic book perspective. Just like the X-Men. I'm not a fan of the X-Men either. I like standalone Wolverine. I'm just not a fan of the X-Men comics. But these movies kind of turned me on to the idea of the Fantastic Four. I thought the cast plays the characters really well, especially Michael Chiklis as the Thing. The Thing was the one thing I did like about the Fantastic Four before these movies came out. I saw these, I saw these movies first, and then I read the Fantastic Four comics, and then I just didn't like the Fantastic Four comics all that much. There were a couple here and there that were alright. I'm not as big into the Fantastic Four as, say, a lot of comic book fans would be. But these movies are not that bad, and, well, if you take a look at these compared to Fan Four Stick, the 2015 reboot, that's one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and these movies have way more charm, way more everything than that movie did. Just everything about these movies are better. And as a kid, I actually used to like this one more, Rise of the Silver Surfer, but as an adult, I like this one more, and I've got the extended cut of this. So, yeah, like I said, as a kid, I liked this one more. As an adult, now I like this one more. Well, that's just me. Alright, so, here's the deal here. The actor that this person, or the actor that stars in this film, I'm not really a big fan of. My soon-to-be, my fiance loves this actor and thinks he's funny. I don't find very much of his comedies funny. But this movie, which is not a comedy, I actually really liked. And that's the number 23, starring Jim Carrey. I don't find Jim Carrey funny in his comedies all that much. The Ace Ventura movies are okay, but I prefer him in these kind of roles. I prefer serious Jim Carrey over funny Jim Carrey, because I don't find Jim Carrey funny. But as a serious actor, he's actually really good. And I think that this might be probably my favorite film that Jim Carrey is in. I've just always really liked this movie a lot. And if you have not seen it, do yourself a favor and watch it. It's really worth a watch if you haven't seen it. This is a movie that a lot of people shit on. I've told people have told me, "Oh, this movie's a piece of shit." No, it is not. This is a really good thriller. So, I'm gonna put that over there. Gotta watch. All right, here we go. Here's another one that's gonna get me in trouble. Robin Hood with Russell Crowe. I saw this thing in theaters, and I love Gladiator, and I love this thing. Not as much as Gladiator, but I loved this movie. And when the unrated cut of this movie came out, I really liked the unrated cut. I thought the theatrical cut was a little bit hacked to shit. They hacked the balls off of it a little bit. This one was a little bit, the unrated cut was a lot more intense. So, this is a film that I've always openly admitted that I like. But my fiance really is not a fan of this movie, and I don't know why. She probably knows the true story of Robin Hood. I'm sure this probably doesn't follow it. It's not loyal to its source material. I've never really been told the true story of Robin Hood, so when I saw this movie, this is not how I imagined it would have been, but it is a fun, entertaining movie. And Russell Crowe is this is one of his best performances, in my opinion. Right, so we've got 3 movies left. That's not in order. I want to fix that real quick. Alright, Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance. I thought this movie was better than the first one. I liked the first Ghost Rider film pretty well. But this movie, man, this movie is fucking awesome, and I don't understand why people don't like it. As people say, oh, I like the first Ghost Rider film, but the second one, fuck the second one. This thing is fucking better than the first one, in my opinion. This film has some of the... This film is directed by the guy who did Crank. This movie is pretty much Crank, which is an awesome movie. Crank with Ghost Rider in it. If you like Crank, then you'll like this. Even if you didn't like the first Ghost Rider film, if you've only said, I've seen the first Ghost Rider film and I don't like it, watch this one. If you're a fan of Crank. This is literally Crank with Ghost Rider, and it's that high-octane, just non-fucking-stop action. And this movie, I don't understand why we didn't get more of these movies. And I'm a fan of the Ghost Rider comics as well. Always been a fan of Ghost Rider. And this movie just does a lot of those comic books justice. And like I said, the first film is good. I liked the first film, but this one's even better. Infinitely better than the first. Alright. Another one that I really enjoy that a lot of people don't. Ang Lee's Hulk from 2003. A lot of people will praise the Ed Norton Hulk film, and that one's okay. I like Ed Norton and all that. And I'm not a huge Liv Tyler fan, but Ed Norton in that movie was good, but that movie really lacked story. This movie had way more story. And Eric Bana, I really like Eric Bana. Eric Bana and Jennifer Connelly's chemistry in this movie together. As well as I really like the performance of Sam Elliott and Nick Nolte. Now, I was a little bit upset that Nick Nolte, the only villain they could put in this movie was the Absorbing Man. And, well, that is what it is. But this movie has a really good, dark story. And it's relatively dark for a Marvel film involving the Hulk, which is always supposed to appeal more to kids, but there's some really dark elements to the story. And I don't know, I've always thought that this was a really underrated, really good film that I never thought was bad. There are people that think that this movie sucks, and it's depressing, and it's boring. It's not. Yes, this is a depressing movie, but it's a good film. I wish people would start to appreciate it more. And last but not least, we got Stay. This is one of the most misunderstood movies on the planet. And there are some... You're led to believe that there's some bad acting in this film, but it's actually done on purpose. I'm not going to spoil this movie. It's done on purpose, and it's actually very cleverly done. And this is probably one of my favorite films involving both Ewan McGregor and Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling in this movie is incredible, and so is Ewan McGregor. And Naomi Watts is okay in it too, but Ryan Gosling and Ewan McGregor really steal the show in this movie. This is just such a brilliant thriller film that does not get the love it deserves. So if you have not seen Stay, just keep an open mind to it. I really don't think critics got this movie, but I'm telling you that this is a damn good movie. So, yeah, that's going to conclude the list. So, what are some unpopular films that you guys genuinely enjoy? Leave them down in the comments. Appreciate your guys' support. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and I'm out. Peace.